Welcome, and thank you for joining us in today's fourth episode and the last one for the Customer Success Lifecycle fans of Etter+Ramli Insights 2022, Migrating Off NetSuite with Confidence. My name is May, and I'm the Marketing Manager at Etter+Ramli. We're independent client-side managed service provider to the Net community. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. This webinar is recorded and will be posted on Etter+Ramli's website and official LinkedIn page. Everyone is muted, and webinar administrator notifications will be disabled as well to ensure there will be no interruptions during the webinar. Chat will be disabled for this session to adhere to the data privacy. If you have any questions, we will have time for them at the end of the session. And in any case, you're not able to ask or relay any concerns, you may send an email to success@etterramli.asia. This presentation deck for today's webinar will be sent to participants, and you may email to request for a copy as well at success@etterramli.asia. We definitely want to know your comments and inputs about this webinar as we try and improve what needs to be. Or if you have any topics in mind that you want for us to have on the next webinar, we would love to know. A link to the survey form will be sent to your email, so we hope we can fill that one out. And we're hoping to get everything done within 20 minutes. So we hope you enjoyed this knowledge sharing session we prepared for you today. Here to talk more about it is our presenter today. He's the managing partner and founder of Etter+Ramli, who has been around the NetSuite community for roughly 20 years. He facilitated NetSuite global rollouts, deployed into 32 countries, and ran through 100 implementations as well. He's been a client of NetSuite and has run a successful NetSuite partnership in Asia, all of which made him adept with NetSuite at both a user and vendor level. It's always a pleasure to introduce Todd Kimpton. Todd, take it away.
Thanks, May. Appreciate the introduction. Hi, everybody. We hope you get some good knowledge out of this webinar. Okay, I want to just start with a quick explanation about our business. We use the term managed success provider to the community, and we're client-side enablers of change. They're not common words that get used in this domain. So I'll go and talk about them a little bit more. Migrating off NetSuite with confidence is what we're here to do. So managed success is about the blending of managed services with customer success. Managed services being frontline user support, admin, process admin, and customer success being new features, growth, process improvement, etc. We blend those together as a total service offering, which we call managed success. And it's really what we love to do. The subscription lifecycle has a natural ebb and flow to it. Today, we're going to be talking about the abandon stage, but to get to abandon, you have to have bought, deployed, and tried at least to grow the software as well. We're a modest business. We service users spread right across the world in 32 countries, 58 odd subsidiaries, and we're deep with NetSuite certified analysts and plenty of experience as well. So from our home in Asia, we provide a global resource. Okay, let's get down to the nuts and bolts of it. Lessons learned in abandoning NetSuite. So over the years, I've sold a few NetSuite instances. I've helped plenty of clients deploy them and grow them. And I've also helped plenty of clients abandon the system as well. The people abandon NetSuite for all sorts of different reasons. Could be commercial, could be functional, could be other. So the most important thing, the first lesson learned in all this is to make sure you understand what the migration factors. Okay, so you've got to be very clear on the functionality and the commercial and the scope. So what that really means is what's driving the desire to get off the system. NetSuite, Oracle is a commercial organization, and I've heard clients not see eye to eye commercially with them, and that's been enough of a justification. It's a functionally rich system, but sometimes that functionality just doesn't fit as well. I've also heard that as an example. And I've also heard that the business has grown and no longer fits the same need as it did before. So you have to be very clear on what the basis for your decision is with very clear parameters on it. We then talk about, what's the business need. So when in moving forward, where are you going with it? And this really comes back to downsizing or to replacing, and they talk about functionality and scope. And also, what the point is in the future. Compliance or government reporting, particularly tax audit reporting, is probably the biggest concern that clients have in this area. If you're downsizing, the tool called Xero, great tool. They've got a very nice set of applications that span accounting and inventory and all sorts of stuff. It's a limited set product, but it's well worth a look if you haven't seen it already. Replacements, I think every industry seems to have its own bespoke solution as well. And all I would really say is just make sure the processes fit. If you're not creating a massive process improvement, then just be cautious. And the last one is around reporting, the government reporting. It's just essential. Okay, exporting data. I mean, when it comes down to it, the biggest part about abandoning the system is to extract the data in an effective way. So surprise, surprise, that uses safe searches. Why safe searches? Because the data is tabulated in a format that can be used more easily than a report, for example. So you got to define your use cases very clearly. And that really comes down to what it is you're trying to move across. Do you want to bring across just the GL impact? Do you want to bring across all of the transaction data? Do you want to bring across more than that? It's really up to you, but obviously each data point needs its own definition. So you need to think about what it is you need to bring. Once that subscription stops and they lock up the account, you're not getting access to it. So you've got to be very clear about what it is you need to extract. I've seen some tools over the years that'll give you everything. And that's got potential. Again, different strokes for different folks. All the same, you got to build the searches. That's important. And then you need to validate the searches as complete before you conclude the export process. So clients that we've done this for, we've spent really, a week or more, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, really validating that the searches that have been drafted are complete and representative of the entire data set. They match back to the financial statements and all this sort of stuff. Naturally, if you're pretty competent with drafting your safe searches, you should be able to get to the point. All the same, there's quite a few little tips and tricks in there. One of those key things is internal IDs. Now, this is a throwaway because it was really, everybody should know this, but it works like this. If you're trying to export out a customer list and an item list and a transaction list, and at some point in the future, you need to marry those all together, you need to make sure they've all got internal IDs and they're all referenced internal IDs within their own searches. If you're not doing that, you're going to have a real trouble trying to get a valid match on the data when you import it. So all I say is that whenever you're including the record, get the ID. If you're including related records, invoices, payments, get the internal IDs. And if you're using any other list records like items or accounts, get the internal IDs. Publish them in the search result, and it just it's going to make your life a whole lot easier in the future. Right, so the last option here is around custodian services. These are some of the things which we can do. The NetSuite's got what they call a caretaker mode, which basically just means that you get your license gets squared away for a period of time, more or less left with one user or thereabouts, no transactions, and they're able to go and access the database if and when they need to for tax reporting purposes. The big risk that comes with this is who's the one user with access. If you need to get that access reinstated because that person has left the business or whatever, it'll cause problems. So we help clients to just be that remaining user for a modest fee. The good part about it is if you've got highly complex financial accounts with lots of revenue recognition and amortizations and all these sorts of things, it can be a lot easier to just negotiate a deal with NetSuite to get that caretaker mode and leave it in place in a dormant state until your tax audit liability is removed, and then it can just dissolve and be dealt with. May, I think we got through this pretty quickly. Any questions?
Agree with that. Great. As usual, thank you for such an insightful session, Todd. We have a handful of valuable key takeaways from the session, thanks to you. And again, Etter+Ramli is here to guide you so you can migrate off NetSuite and move to another system with much confidence and peace of mind for sure. All right, we will go ahead and take some time for questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to email us your questions or any concerns you might have at success@Etter+Ramli.asia. Okay, it looks like we have a few questions here. Michelle Gonzalez from Philippines. Our business has just evolved into a whole new business model and NetSuite no longer fits. What is the usual timeline to migrate off NetSuite and load data to a new system?
Wow,
okay, that's a very specific question, Todd.
Wow, I mean, Michelle, that's a bit of a difficult one to answer. It's difficult to answer. I mean, it's really how long is a piece of string. But I will say this, that with good organization, your second implementation, so the new system you go into, you should be wiser, and therefore it should be more simple, and therefore it also should be faster. Getting the data out of NetSuite is pretty straightforward as well. So if you've done a pretty good map of your migration plan, then the extract and load aspect of the data should be pretty straightforward as well. So it's really difficult to say, particularly if your business has evolved so much. I guess complexity has come into it. If evolution is on the simplification side, which does happen as well, then I would say, well, I did one earlier this year. It took more or less about a month. It took us about 2 weeks to get the searches right. It took about a week to load it, and a week or so, maybe 2 weeks to verify the load as well. So somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks if it's being simplified. If it's being made more complex, then it's definitely a different story. And incidentally, that was into Zoho, which is why I kind of think it's relevant. May.
Right. Okay. Another one from Kenny Yan from China. He asked, how secure is your custodian services for data retention accounts?
It's a really good question. So we put that into a limited access login. We've only got 1 or 2 people in the organization who have that access to the email that we put that custodian service behind. It's secure in that this is our business and we've been doing it a long time, and we do it for other clients as well. So we don't after that, it's all about login audits into NetSuite, which are all fully reported, and that's irrespective of whoever the admin is.
Right. Okay. We have room for 2 more questions. Okay. So here's one from Eldon Henson from the UK. Our business has encountered a value gap. Our installation becomes stale, and we are considering moving off NetSuite. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. How long does it take to do this? I think this is a similar question to Michelle from Philippines, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so look, I would say this, okay. I feel a little bit like the marriage counselor here. Try and figure out your problems first before you file for divorce.
Right.
Because migrating off the system is a big task. And there's no sure wins that you're going to get success on the other side either. Because every software's got its limitations. Every software's got problems. So I would really say to you, do your best to resolve or try and resolve the issues that you've got before you abandon. If you need help with that, more than happy to help. Go have a look at our other video, the other recording we did of a webinar on lessons learned in Grow. You might find some helpful tips in there.
All right. We're down to the last question, Todd. Richard Conway from Florida. He asked, once migration is done, do you also assist and help us review our concerns and create a roadmap for objectives moving forward?
You know, it's a great question. Our expertise is in NetSuite, but we work with clients and we know their business, so we sort of can be pretty good advocates for the next system as well, because we bring some pretty clear knowledge there, not just knowledge on how things work, but more of a general process knowledge about what makes things work and what the client needs that might be not necessarily be visible fully at the functional level. Yeah, we definitely help clients evaluate other systems as well within their new buy cycle or their new subscription life cycle.
Fantastic. Thank you, Todd. Well, again, that's all the time we have for now. If you have any other questions, please contact us at success@Etter+Ramli.Asia. Once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a survey link about today's webinar. We would appreciate it if you would provide your feedback and complete the form. You may download the complete recording of today's webinar at www.Etter+Ramli.Asia. On behalf of Etter+Ramli and Todd, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you in our next one. As usual, have an awesome week ahead of you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Appreciate it. Thanks, May.